Welcome, friends of Japanese art prints. I am Dieter, and in today's video I want to present a famous, excellent Japanese printmaker of the 20th century. His name is Tokuriki Tomikichiro, and he was born in 1902 and passed away in 1999. You see here an old photograph provided to us by one of his students. I guess this is from the 1970s, Rinita Shimizu, who today is also an excellent printmaker, moku hanga called an American, and that's her teacher at the time, 1970s. Tokuriki Tomikichiro was born in an old artist family in Kyoto of, you won't believe it, of 13 generations. Kyoto is famous for its arts and crafts, and therefore they had and still have excellent universities, colleges, schools for the fine arts. And also Tokuriki Tomikichiro underwent a very intensive art training. In 1923, he graduated from Kyoto Art College. And there's something special about Tokuriki Tomikichiro. And I have to deviate now again a little bit from the subject. In the 1920s, there were two different art movements in Japanese printmaking. One was called hanga, and the other one sosaku hanga. And well, normally the hanga artists didn't like the sosaku hanga artists, and the other way around. But Tokuriki Tomikichiro, he worked in both art movements. And that's very unusual. It's a little bit like you get two artists in just one person. I don't want to explain hanga, sosaku hanga now too much, otherwise the video would become too long. But let me show a few images, of course, images of prints by Tokuriki Tomikichiro. Okay, here you have two examples. I think they are from the current auction. That is typical sosaku hanga. Looks a little bit technically challenged, a little bit clumsy. And that is hanga, made more in the tradition of old ukiyo-e and made by artisans and carvers, whereas the sosaku hanga guys, they thought we must do everything ourselves, and therefore looking often a little bit clumsy. But two more examples. Tokuriki Tomikichiro was, by the way, excellent also technically. This is Tokuriki Tomikichiro. Look how he shows rain. But that's typical hanga, artisan made. And another example, okay, that's a typical sosaku hanga print by Tokuriki Tomikichiro. Charming, but nevertheless, well, technically a little bit challenged, a little bit clumsy. Okay, Tokuriki Tomikichiro had learned during his intensive training how to make a woodblock. And he had developed a passion for this sosaku hanga art movement, where the artists, the proponent of this art movement, thought we have to do everything themselves, in contrast to the traditional Japanese printmaking of the 19th century called ukiyo-e, where the artists only made the design more or less, but skilled artisans made the carving and the printing, which is not so quite easy. And Tokuriki Tomikichiro, he had met other sosaku hanga artists during his early career, like Onichi Hiratsuka, Shiku Munakata, Masao Maeda, or Hide Kawanishi. And he had developed a passion for sosaku hanga. By the way, also a Tokuriki Tomikichiro print in typical sosaku hanga design. The tragic thing is, the market wanted something else, was not interested in sosaku hanga, but more in the traditional way called shin hanga. And therefore, also Tokuriki Tomikichiro had to make a living. And therefore, he produced shin hanga art prints in cooperation with publishers like Uchida or Unsodo. By the way, both companies exist still until today. But his heartbeat was different. And Tokuriki Tomikichiro once said, "I'd rather do nothing but creative prints, but after all, I sell maybe 10 of them against 200 for a publisher artisan print." He called shin hanga publisher artisan print, but that makes it clear what it actually is. And let me show you now a typical publisher artisan print. But this sells, and the relationship 1 to 10, and not much changed, has until our days. Sosaku hanga is a fine niche market, but really popular is shin hanga compared to sosaku hanga. Tokuriki Tomikichiro made also quite a few series, of course in shin hanga style in cooperation with publishers. And his best known series is titled 36 Views of Mount Fuji. This is one example. Mount Fuji, by the way, sells always, yeah. And this series, the first edition, was published in 1939 until 1940. After the World War, were a few reissues, but let's put that aside. That is a little bit tricky. Let's talk about the activity of Tokuriki Tomikichiro as a teacher. He had quite a few Western students who wanted to learn, who had come to Japan to learn Japanese printmaking. Among them were Daniel Kelly, David Stones, or Lenita Shimizu. Yeah, you saw the old photograph before. Tokuriki Tomikichiro lived in the old family estate, which was near the Imperial Palace. That was with a large garden and an entrance gate. And at the entrance gate, the family sold tea. Oh, like this. The artist had also a certain third stable income selling tea. Let's talk a little bit about the market and prices of woodblock prints by Tokuriki Tomikichiro. Well, he became 97 years old and he produced a large number of designs, large number of woodblock prints, especially these so-called artisan publisher prints, meaning the shin hanga prints, yeah, like this one. They are available, and therefore they are also affordable. And they are, if in good condition, they are a very good value for a reasonable budget. And therefore, they are an ideal entry point, in my view, for new collectors. To give you an example, in an Artelino art auction, I couldn't get such a print like this for a minimum bid of $150 plus commission. Sosaku hanga, on the other hand, remember the relationship 1 to 10. Therefore, they are more rare, and a thumbnail price $200, $300 plus commission. And especially when they are larger, they can go up to considerable several $100 price tags. We are coming finally to the end of this little video. But before saying goodbye, I want to show you a new feature that we've created over the recent weeks. It's a center point. We call it Artist Tab. And it's a center point where you get all information available on the Artelino website for an artist. At one point, it's really everything available at your fingerprints. You find it here in the education section, and here Artist Tab. Go to Artist Tab. I already pre-selected it here as an example for Tokuriki Tomikichiro, of course. And there you find biography, articles, video. Let's move down a little bit. Where's the screen? Yeah, here we are. And there, an open archive that can be accessed by everyone. You don't need an Artelino account. And the collector archive with 70,000 Japanese prints. However, that one is reserved for our clients. Signatures, and last but not least, there, whenever we have in the current auction one or more prints by an artist, then you can access this also directly from this Artist Tab. And you see here, Tokuriki Tomikichiro, 13 items in current auction. Or here in the bottom, 3 articles about the artists. Okay, try it. I hope you will like it. All right, thanks for watching this long video, and I hope to see you soon in our auctions and for our next video, of course.